pull the lever, Kronk.
Yes! Wrong lever! Why do we even have that lever?
She has such an iconic voice and such an iconic presence in the film industry, whether it be voiceover acting in cartoons or direct representation in films that she's been in. This episode is dedicated to the late, the beautiful, the magnificent, the diverse, the truly like multifaceted human of Eartha Kitt. The icon. Born January 17th, 1927 in South Carolina, she died December 25th, 2008 in Weston, Connecticut. Eartha Kitt was an American singer and dancer noted for her sultry vocal style and slinky beauty who has achieved success as a dramatic stage and film actress. Kitt was a daughter of a Cherokee and Black mother and a white father she never knew. From the age of 8, she grew up with relatives in an ethnically diverse section of Harlem, New York City. At 16, she joined Katherine Dunham's dance troupe and toured the United States, Mexico, South America, and Europe. When the Dunham Company returned to the United States, the multilingual Kitt stayed in Paris, where she won immediate popularity as a nightclub singer. She made her acting debut as Helen of Troy in Time Runs, an Orson Welles adaptation of Faust in 1950, with her appearance in the Broadway review Leonard Sillman's New Faces of 1952, and with early 1950s recordings such as C'est Bon, Santa Baby, and I Want to Be Evil, Kitt became a star. Amongst her many vocal and acting talents, it turns out Eartha also had other talents in her presence in the political space. So Eartha Kitt questioned President Lyndon B. Johnson during a Women Doers luncheon hosted by First Lady Bird Johnson. Ms. Johnson hosted the luncheon series to encourage discussions of the roles women could take to address various social issues. The topic of the January 18th luncheon was crime on the streets. Kitt, who was invited to speak at the luncheon due to her work with at-risk youth, defended anti-Vietnam War protesters and spoke critically on President Johnson's politics regarding taxes, social welfare, and child care. Due to her remarks, Kitt faced media backlash and career repercussions that lasted several decades.
As we begin, where did you first become aware of Eartha Kitt, and how has she kind of, if she has been a part of your life, how has that manifested?
I recognize Eartha Kitt by her persona. I didn't know her by name, but then, and recognizing the Emperor's New Groove and in like movies she's been in, stuff like that, I'm like, yes, of course I know like who she is on like a visual perspective, but didn't realize like how not even just well-versed, but really entrenched in so many different areas of media that she had been, and then her activism.
Yeah, so probably Emperor's New Groove, right?
Yeah, Emperor's New Groove that I can think of by like her voice, but then also she was in Holes as one of the, like, what was her name? Madam something?
Madam, it's Madam Zeroni.
Madam
Zeroni.
Madam Zeroni. And she's like perfect in that kind of like sort of mysterious older woman, clearly tons of knowledge, doesn't totally care how she's perceived, by like everyone else, and just really, but she holds a lot of power. So that was my introduction to her.
I feel that's so true to who she was as a person.
Yeah.
I became aware of her just a few years earlier because she scared the bejesus out of me in Harriet the Spy. I don't know if you were a Harriet the Spy girl, but she played an older woman. I think they also made her up to look a little bit scary, just like cakey makeup and stuff. But I believe it was like she had a cat, and Harriet the Spy was sneaking around in her mansion that was like dusty or whatever, and she was on an elevator. Anyway, that's where I first met her. But then we got, We got like TV or whatever back in the dark ages when it snowed, you couldn't watch TV. But she came back because I got to watch old episodes of Batman, which was iconic because she was Catwoman, and she was a black Catwoman on TV being sexy. I mean, I don't think that she was in many episodes actually. Which is funny to think of because she's so tied to her roles, but she's just one of those people that a cameo is the impact, and that is fine. You know, like that is just who she is, a scene stealer, a show woman, all these things.
It's like you want more, but you accept what you can get.
Absolutely. And like, if you don't get enough in that, which I don't know how that's true, no worries. She'll be back in 5 minutes at a new role, giving you more, you know. She's such a showgirl, and I've always really appreciated that. But the reason that we're talking about her today, and the reason that she came up when we were planning episodes, is because every now and then I go down a nice YouTube spiral of watching old interviews of different people that are interesting. And besides teenage Drew Barrymore, which is crazy to watch, Eartha Kitt is a revisited one. Just as much as that, just to see how she's fielding questions, the type of questions that she's getting asked. She also had a lot of opportunity to be profiled by journalists. And so you learn a lot about her story through her just talking, sometimes as she's walking through her garden, you know, and just talking about her life. And there's just something about it. She's 5'4". She has this voice, you know, and like, that's just how she talks. And like, she also has this fabulous, crazy career where she was dancing at a ballet studio with James Dean. You know what I mean? Like, this lady lived life. And so her interviews are always iconic. And you may know her from a soundbite. I think Beyonce probably brought it up to the mainstream. But it's talking about her willingness to compromise for love, which is interesting.
Yes, I think about that often.
It's so good. And that whole special was so good. I think it was for ABC. But just the way that her brain works was so incredible. And just in this tiny package, which one would see as maybe vulnerable, especially in her industry, there was no room for her to be vulnerable. And I love that about her. So that's why we're bringing her up. Of course, there is something specific about her story that we're going to be talking about. But in general, Eartha Kitt, if you haven't gotten into Eartha Kitt for some reason, if you're not familiar with Eartha Kitt for some reason, I highly recommend typing in Eartha Kitt interview on YouTube and just going down the rabbit hole. The way that she handles things is incredible. So we're getting into the issue of Black women in the White House. And Eartha Kitt has a significant role within that. We'll go back to the 60s. Lyndon B. Johnson is in office, and it's 1964. Before Eartha gets in there, and in 1964, Lady Bird Johnson got together a coalition of female activist leaders within the communities to, one, publicize women leaders. Like, she was trying to bring some feminism into the White House. You know, they're Democrats, so they're trying to be as progressive as they can in 1964. But of course, this is a selection made by like committee, and the circles that they would know are upper echelon, you know, to say the least. So the Doers Committee is what they were called. And these are socialites. They are activists. They care about stuff, but they're really there to be photographed next to Lady Bird Johnson and be in the White House and get the invites and go to the gala and things like that. And occasionally at these meetings that they would have, they'd invite different celebrities for, you know, publicity reasons.
Part of why Eartha was invited was because she had Rebels with a Cause, which is which is out in Watts, and so that was an organization that she founded, and so she worked a lot with politicians to raise money, and that's really what got her noticed by the White House. She passed the background check. She, passed all the things to be able to be considered. And so that's, the combination of her celebrity and then all the work that she's done in Watts, and really the causes that were important to her. That's what got her invited and a seat at the table.
That's true. And it's odd to see a Black woman in the room as well. So the group started in 1964, but then Eartha ended up going in 1968. And that was when the Vietnam War was starting up and everybody was going down. Long story short. During the event, long story short, there was a question answer period after a short speech. And Eartha Kitt spoke not only directly to Lyndon B. Johnson, who stepped into the room, just to wave. He came into this tea party, basically as a tea party, to wave and be seen and just move on. And then got caught up in conversation with the ladies. And Eartha Kitt said, reportedly, you send the best of this country off to be shot and maimed. No wonder the kids are flunking out of school. Talking about different plans to help Americans while the Vietnam War is going on. And the focus of the speeches, at least the ones that I saw, because there's some recordings of it, include Birdie saying something about hoodlums and getting the crimes off the street. Another lady goes up and talks about these low income, high crime areas have to be handled. Mind you, these are ladies who are not ever in low income anythings, high crime anythings. Hoodlums, who are we talking about exactly? And then within that, we have Eartha Kitt, who we've previously mentioned is not a quiet lady. And not afraid.
No, she's not afraid. She's not quiet. She was really calling them out on what wasn't happening. She wanted to get to the root causes and not just put on Band-Aids, because their goal was like, okay, we need to build more parks. And she's like, no, actually, we need equal education available in our schools. And they're like, no, that's fine. We'll just get more daycares to help parents.
Right.
But she's really, really bringing them to task and holding them accountable, to dive deeper into it. What I appreciated is that her take on it is like, they wanted the optics of, saying the right things and saying that they're going to, they wanted the impression of good politics and good policy, but that was only really coming secondhand to the optics of saying the right things and hosting these parties to show that they're talking about some important topics, but they're really not getting to the crux of the issue. And so Eartha was just like, okay, but like, what are you really doing? Like, you have a disproportionate number of minorities fighting in this Vietnam War, and you're leaving these kids that are home. And then you've got, a lot of men that were sent overseas, or a lot of men that were sent to the wars, and minority men leaving moms to be single moms that are married or whatever, single moms in a partnership, raising kids. And then they go and get killed, and the husbands go get killed in the Vietnam War. And you're wondering what's happening, what's wrong with these kids? They don't have a father.
Right. Why are they acting out? Gee, I wonder.
Yeah, like, really, really, really challenging to find out that answer. And so, like I said, she was just really holding them to task and asking the hard questions, and not in a, sort of aggressive or, demeaning sort of way. But what I've learned is that when you challenge people in a question to just get clarification and get an answer, if it goes against who they view themselves to be, or who they want to be seen as, they get defensive, and all of a sudden you're the problem instead of them being held accountable to the things that they're not actually doing.
Hey.
That was a personal one, but
it's also so true. It's so applicable, and that's exactly what happened. Yeah. And again, like when she said, the word choice of, I think that she's always been very considerate of her word choice. She's an artist. She's a language person. To say shot and maimed was important to say in front of that crowd. because for some reason people hear that there are casualties. That's like a nice word. Suddenly there's angel wings and everything gets foggy and it moves on and it's over. But to say exactly what is happening in graphic detail in response to these, what I would consider petty topics that they were talking about at this luncheon, to meet that with the stark contrast of what Black people were going through with direct language to the people who have the power to change the situation was simply the right thing to do. The way that it was interpreted, because of what you said, was that she's aggressive. She's basically an untamed Black bitch. And now we have to silence her. We got to get her under control. How dare she in our house, when the whole point was to come and talk about these issues and get to a solution. So she just did what they wanted to do.
Exactly. I think what she really did, as they mentioned in the documentary, I don't believe we mentioned what the name was, but the fall and rise again of Eartha Kitt, which of course we'll post in the show notes. But what she did was shatter this illusion. Like I said, she realized that the policy was just a sideshow or sort of a side act to the positive publicity that they were receiving because they were simply having these conversations. But she's just like, nah, like we're not going to play that game. I need you to be truthful. I need you to be honest and have some amount of transparency, because we have this unpopular war that's happening in Vietnam and so many issues here on our homeland that are linked to that war in Vietnam, and you're just glossing over what the real challenges are and what the root causes are.
Yeah. And also, I mean, is this new to us at this point? Not really, because we've had enough media going on, and we've have tweets from presidents. It's different. There's a lot more communication going on. But back then, we just started seeing presidents not too long before this luncheon, like on TV instead of print ads and stuff, like, and to have conferences and things like that beyond the radio broadcast of the State of the Union. Like, these things are developing, and to see how people are allowed to question power or hold, or speak truth to power, whatever is going on, that was revolutionary in and of itself. Now we just tweet everybody, and it's like, bro, fuck you, president, whatever, like, we're used to it now. That was crazy then. And keep in mind, it's 1968. And she's a Black woman.
Exactly. And, we can talk about the stark differences between Lady Bird Johnson and Eartha Kitt as well. We saw this in our last episode about Lowndes, the county. And where, we have people who just come from as opposite as you can get walks of life. So Lady Bird grew up in a family that owned a plantation. Meanwhile, Eartha Kitt worked on a plantation in, a sharecropping upbringing. So they have these really varying viewpoints in life as it is. Then you get them in a room to, let's talk about the underbelly of the problems that we're facing here, was Eartha's approach. And Lady Bird's like, well, but look how heavy everybody is on the plantation. Like it's so different. And because Eartha challenged them, they basically just like wanted her to not fight the good fight, because she had made it and she had been able to rise to success despite where she came from. And they're like, well, the Civil Rights Bill is passed and slavery is over, and we have, integration, and we have all of these things. And it's such a way to sort of diminish and to get quote successful Black people to forget about where they came from. And Eartha's like, I'm not gonna do that. And I'm gonna try and bring up everybody, because that's what's important, and that's how we get change. Like me sitting up here, me as Eartha, to say, well, I made it, so you can too, is not
Tyler
effective.
Perry.
Yeah. Well,
Tyler Perry.
Oh, Mr.
We'll talk about it later.
Yes.
Go ahead.
But like, that's not how it goes. And that's not the way that she wanted to approach the change and the and to have impact on communities.
And also now, you know, we can see the benefit of the doers luncheon, having wonderful tea and picking out whose name goes on a plaque at a park, and the benefit of having Eartha Kitt actually bring up topics that the world was not wanting to talk about, because the aftermath of this was obviously all about Eartha. No one cared about the little ideas that they had about building more parks or whatever the hell, paving roads and stuff. It was all about what Eartha had said, of course, coming from different perspectives on the matter. The blowback was interesting to me, especially because it included criticisms from Black people, especially surrounding conduct. Did you have any feelings or thoughts about that portion of it? I believe it was or what was it? There's a Black publication, I wish I could remember the name right now, who focused their media coverage on this event, and years later on how embarrassing it was that Eartha Kitt acted out in front of the president.
See, I think that it's like a couple things. That's like internalized racism, or the messaging that they were receiving was not the real messaging of what happened, because they do have film of how Eartha asked her questions to President Lyndon B. Johnson. And they just like, I mean, his response was like, also, well, I think you should ask ladies in this room. And he's not addressing the problem. And so anyway, I think that it's disappointing because I don't believe that they truly got a good visual of what happened. I think especially at that time when, we talk about how media is portrayed by who's in power. And so especially at that time, who's in power? White people. Who's controlling, what's going to be shown, how it's portrayed, all of that, white people. So if that Black publication, again, I don't know how they got their information exactly, but I'm just going on hopes and wishes that they didn't get the right information and they were making a judgment based upon the wrong information and just happened to say the wrong thing. Like maybe they didn't actually get to see the video, but my thought is that they would have received information of saying she was aggressive and she was so rude and she was just all of these things. And so then unfortunately what happens, then they go and spew that same information. So I have mixed feelings because I don't have the trail of how they got that information to really understand, is that internalized racism because they're just like, well, she shouldn't even have asked that question because that's rude and disrespectful? Or is it, oh, she asked this question according to this source and she was aggressive and all of these things. Meanwhile, she was very demure, very respectful, and just asked a question.
I love that there's video footage of it so you can see it for yourself, that she did simply ask a question. It was brave of her to ask a question that was about the topic of the luncheon, which is upsetting. But I guess I'm with you on the response, because obviously all the white publications were writing about how aggressive she was. They also made it a point in most of the media coverage to point out that she is a Negro entertainer. Entertainer probably to diminish her ability to think of politics in a way, I guess.
I mean, words are important and word choice is important. So to say that she was a Negro entertainer sounds like she's working at a circus or like on like a side street with a suitcase for people to throw her pennies and dimes. Like that's what that sounds like, right. Instead of saying that she was like an actress or maybe even a showwoman. I don't know if that still kind of gives entertainer connotation, or even saying that she was, a singer or
even a star, which she was.
A star. Yeah, you're right. Like that's probably more encompassing, just a star, a world renowned star, because she had been in so many different productions with dancing and singing and everything. So yeah, they definitely, I mean, they knew what they were doing. They're choosing their words properly to push their own agenda.
and diminish her point at every turn that you could to set up your biases at the beginning. Eartha Kitt, Negro. Oh, okay. Got my idea about that. Entertainer. Oh, God. At the White House. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
You know, and it was demoralizing to see. And there's just a wonderful video that has clippings of the different newspapers and how they talked about her. But just to see how they wrote about this little tiny interaction that was totally serene and just calm and level-headed, and turned it into this Black woman attacked our president. And what do you think about that world? To the point where obviously opportunities for her dried up hard, which is kind of the reason why we get all these interviews learning about her life, because since she couldn't get acting roles after this, or couldn't get the television game show roles and all the other things that she was doing, the best money maker was for her to tell stories about her life, do cabarets, write books, things like that. So we learned a lot about Eartha Kitt because of this incident, not allowing her to continue being a character for a while.
A lot of what we come to learn as to why she wasn't able to find work in the US is because they bugged her phone, and they'd bugged her house. And so they're able to get, I don't think that it doesn't appear that she was really saying or doing anything. They're just using her words against her, just because people didn't want to be associated with someone whose house would be bugged for whatever reason. Despite she was just speaking the truth and truly had the courage to say what others were thinking, but they didn't say that out loud. She did. So she really put herself out there. And unfortunately, that was the route that was taken to really kind of blacklist her for many years.
And keep in mind, when this happened, it's just over, I guess, 10 or so years after McCarthyism, when there was the Red Scare. Actors were being accused of being communists, whether or not they were. They would be blackballed if someone said they were. So it was a lot about the connections that were made and held. And that was the main reason why they were bugging her, because they were still on that McCarthyism stuff, low key. Like, these entertainers are spreading an awful word. It happens today. It's happening today, where they'll say that certain artists are, demonic and all these things. It's like, okay, or it's entertainment, but whatever. But they went hard on her, and I'm happy that she seemed to have taken it in stride, because she saw how silly it was immediately. She knew she wasn't a threat, but she was threatened that entire time. Her safety was at risk the entire time. And keep in mind, after Lyndon B. Johnson, the next president was Nixon. Crazy ass Nixon. So
where she also had a hard time finding work because she was critical of Nixon, just as she was of Lyndon B. Johnson. But again, as that sort of truth teller, Lyndon B. Johnson, towards the end of his presidency, he's sick, and a lot of people didn't like him because he told so many falsehoods about the war in Vietnam. And I mean, if I were there, I'd kind of be like, hey, remember when I was talking about this? Then flipping Nixon comes in, and he is, spewing the same sort of hate, if not
worse.
Yes. And it's like poor woman just can't really catch a break. Until finally Jimmy Carter comes into the White House and he welcomes her back.
Which is it's just wild to me that she was such a threat for asking or bringing up a simple thing and voicing the concerns of the American people. Keep in mind, this is all about Eartha Kitt being at a luncheon in the White House, comfortable with, 30 other people in a room, and things got awkward for a few minutes. Hey, real quick. If you are liking what you're hearing, and I'm sure that you do, I really need your help. If you could go and drop a 5-star rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to the show, would do us wonders. So please drop that in the comments, drop that 5-star rating. All right, we'll get back to the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
She's speaking truth to power for the thousands and thousands of neighborhoods full of people who don't have their children anymore because of the war. You know what I mean? Like, imagine if we had at that time the ability to speak directly to staff of the president or whatever,
Right.
you know, we have that now. And it's interesting that they treat those concerns just about the same.
Yeah.
What this brings me to, and you brought up the illness, Lyndon B. Johnson's illness, and kind of being thrown off to the side. Of course, that makes me think about our current sitting president and how this election process has been going. And obviously, there was a terrible performance at a debate that ended up ending his presidential run. He is not in favor as much as he was. I mean, I don't really know. I don't know any people who did TikTok dances for Joe Biden, but you know, the energy was gone. It felt hopeless. And then here comes Kamala, ready to be, I guess, the knight in shining armor or knight in shiny silk wrap. I don't know, but here she is. We're ready. It's exciting. And I'm still seeing the reactions be way too similar to the reactions that were happening about Kamala Harris. Or I'm sorry, about Eartha Kitt.
Yeah, exactly.
What I'm seeing, and we're just going to hop into a conversation about this, but what I'm seeing are people's struggle, Black people included, to talk about criticisms about Kamala without going directly into their misogyny, but especially into their misogynoir. It's like they just cannot take Black women. When you have two candidates, yes, there's Jill Stein, that's a different thing. But like when you have these two candidates on stage, just acting how they act, just don't even take into account the policy or anything, even history, just being able to answer questions, being able to talk. And you see these two candidates right now. And when you go to social media, which is a loud minority, I understand, but when you go to social media and you see people like Faison Love, do you remember?
I don't even know who that is.
Exactly. Talk about you can't get the vote until she abolishes child support because that's tearing down the Black man. Da, 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 da. Are you sure? Are you sure that that is your real concern about Kamala becoming the president? Look again at the stage. Listen again to how they're acting and answering these questions. Interrogate why you have a problem with voting for Kamala Harris again, real quick.
Right.
Real quick. And unless Faison Love is voting for Jill Stein, I don't, maybe it's Green Party. I doubt it. What are you feeling right now about how things are going?
I think I'm feeling disheartened and kind of exasperated. That could be from recent occurrences of having unproductive conversations of people to show empathy and understanding to one another without lashing out in their immaturity and their monkey brain, if you will,
like a self-centeredness.
Yes. And so I think that's also why I didn't watch the debate or even watch clips after. I sort of felt like I knew what it was going to be, and I just don't have the wherewithal for that. I have heard some like correspondences as like some political correspondences after, or commentators, I should say that it was the shit show that I thought it was going to be. And I have a hard stance against Trump. I know that. I can't say that I have a firm stance for Harris. And I don't mean that like I'm not going to go out and vote. I'm just saying I don't have it in me right now because I feel like what I see, it could be the social media thing. I have too many softball friends in Idaho posting things in their very rednecky way. And then it makes me tired. I'm just like, oh my God. Like, I feel like it's going to be bad and then worse, like,
of course.
That's what I'm feeling about it. So maybe a little hopeless myself. Catch me in, a few weeks, maybe I'll feel different. But right now I'm just like, my goodness, I don't have a hard opinion to, share from an educated space that I would feel more comfortable diving into. I'm tired. But that's not meaning that I'm not going to move to the point of, no, okay, let me go ahead and get all my stuff together, my resources and education and all the things to exercise my own rights. So that's where I'm at. Where are you at?
Well, regarding exercising your own right, I mean, didn't we just hear about people getting shot and killed for the right to vote? So I think about that constantly. Yeah. I know the conversation about voting or not is still happening. And I understand the reasons why. I don't think that the people who are not going to vote are going to change their mind. But I do feel that there is new energy surrounding the election period, just because it feels less hopeless than it did before.
I agree.
However, I cannot take the I guess the social commentary about the candidates.
I can't either. It's because I think it also is disheartening to me because I'm like, I play softball with these people, not all of them. Let's say against. And there's already this like feeling in Idaho being a Black woman. So then when I see people posting stuff about a Black woman running for president and attacking her in these sort of dog whistle, backhanded comments, these what's that word? Oh my gosh.
Microaggressions.
Thank you. Yeah, these microaggressions about her race. And meanwhile, I'm like,
right hello? There.
Yeah, like, and so that's what feels weird about it. Because I am who they are making these comments about.
Oh no, but you're a good one, Donna.
Yes, of course. I love to be the token Black woman. Like I love to be the exception to the rules of Blackness. So for anyone who doesn't catch my sarcasm, I was being sarcastic. Like, my goodness, I don't need anyone being like, oh my gosh, Donna's like, no. A lot of sarcasm.
But it is, and so I see less of white people talking about it. I think right now, like my world, are criticisms of Kamala because they're left of her, or criticisms about her from strangers, usually online, that are at least posing to be Black. Because sometimes these are white people or bots.
I've seen some of those, and it's so funny. Like they just change their like profile picture, but still have like AI Facebook picture linked or something. And it's like, okay, Susan from, Timbuktu, Wisconsin in the suburbs. Like, all right.
But the thing is, when they do that, if it's like a white person pretending to be a Black man online just to say that they hate Kamala Harris, unfortunately, that's also what like barbershop talk sounds like. DL Hughley who has a huge radio show. Can't believe it. Can't speak to it. Don't know anyone who listens to it, but it is really popular. He led a charge when she became the nominee before she even accepted the nomination officially, to not only interrogate her, which I thought was fair, and interrogate your candidate, find out what they're about. That makes sense. But he led a charge based on whatever information he saw in bold font on Instagram to have this legion of straight Black men who hate Black women to go against her. And I'm thinking, where do you go against a candidate in a two-party system? Ain't it to the other party? Ain't the other party Donald J. Trump?
Right.
It got to the point where he had been leading this charge, very Kevin Samuels like. Something happened. He got a little tug on the ear, tap on the shoulder, and he was at the DNC weeks later apologizing for spreading false information and trying to clean that all up. It's just an interesting ride that we're taking. And I don't think I've been paying attention the last 4 years with her as vice president. Because I'm wondering, has this been going on and I just haven't been paying attention? Is this just how people talk about Black women who speak? And I missed it? Because it's giving very much so Kamala Harris, Negro entertainer, says something, I like it. You know what I mean? Like, it's very, and I'm not 10 toes down for Kamala.
Yeah.
I'm not. There are things, it's really, there are things. However, it is exciting to have a Black female president.
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah,
it's like likely president. It is exciting to see this kind of momentum behind a candidate from all parties. It's sense versus nonsense right now, and that feels stressful, but it feels invigorating in some cases. It's the commentary. It's the social, it's the conversations. And it always goes down to me, why did you start having that thought about that person? Was it something that they did? Or is it who they are? And it seems that for Black women who talk in the White House, like anyone who talks, damn the tour guides, I bet they don't get listened to at all. Right. But for Black women who are in the White House or any sort of power position to speak about the world and how the world's being affected by politics or ideas about how we could change things for the better, or maybe it's for the worse, but however they speak, it comes down to petty shit. It comes down to, well, she didn't have a baby, so I can't even trust her on family stuff, and like things like that.
Yeah, it's just ignorance. It's ignorance, and it's throwing shit on the wall until something sticks, just to say things. And I think that maybe in this moment I am too personally affected in a very similar situation of reactions of people who are so inept at social communication and interpersonal connection that I don't have the wherewithal or the energy to fight or but sure, you want to think that, okay, all right, cool,
don't watch any
great story
clips.
yeah like I just I'm like, I don't have the energy for it because it's so detached from reality, and it is so tied up in their own inadequacies and their own insecurities and their own lack of awareness of themselves that it's not about Harris. It's not about them. And it's projection of their own stupidity. That's what it is. That's what
I wish your mom's tugged you more when you were younger so we could just get through this election without all this other shit. But also,
Right.
Donna, I wonder too if the exhaustion could be from you just being used to that being your truth as a Black woman. Because
That's possible, yeah.
something that happens a lot is if I'm talking about the workplace with, my girlfriends or whatever, Black women, some of which I've worked with, I'll talk about a memory or talk about an event, and we will have completely different experiences because honestly, as a Black gay male, navigating predominantly white spaces is pretty okay for me.
Yeah.
I'm also who I am personality wise. I
Yeah.
control the weather. You're not going to beat me, all the things.
Yeah.
Um, but the way that, especially white women, react to me is the exact opposite
Mm-hmm.
of how they will treat and react to Black women. And the same goes
Yep.
for every other demographic. Black women, no matter what you do, no matter what you say, angry, rude,
Mm.
bossy, all these things, like out of what thin air are we pulling this? Like
I
it's from
wonder,
misogynoir.
I think that this might actually be a whole topic or conversation for another day. I'd be curious to maybe get like a psychologist on, like a social
Mm,
psychologist in this view, because I agree with you. And this isn't from my direct experience of me in the workplace with a Black gay male in the workplace. However, I can understand without you even having said that. I'm like, yeah, I get that. That makes sense. And I wonder if it's because like where white women don't see you as like a threat. But I
mm-hmm.
wonder if it's because you're not interested in women.
That could be
And
true.
so you're not going with the stereotype, the harmful stereotype or judgment that Black men are these
Oh,
sexual, you know, beings and their
yes.
sexual prowess, and they're just coming to get every white woman. And so I wonder if that could be part of the quote acceptability of you being a Black gay male in the workplace versus me being a Black heterosexual. I don't think that part even matters, but a Black woman.
No, but
Um,
that's true.
in the woman space,
I'm,
like as a woman, I don't
mm-hmm,
think my sexual orientation matters to a white woman, but my presence as a Black woman in the workspace is a threat to them,
mm-hmm,
based upon my own success that I built for myself, because to them, I shouldn't be achieving those things,
mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah. And plus their own implanted ideas of what Black women are and do
Mm-hmm.
because because they're raised in a racist society, and whether or not
Yeah.
they claim it, they hold those ideals and they see a Black woman in power, and she's scary and she's mean and she only got there because she did XYZ the third. It's always a special circumstance. If it's not
Yeah.
that she is, sleeping her way to the top, it's that she bullied
Mm-hmm.
her way to the top. If it's
Yeah.
not that, then it was affirmative action. It's never because of her own merit, her own
Right.
ability. um and I want to add to the gay Black man to white women thing.
Mm-hmm.
I also get to be turned into a purse in
Mm-hmm.
all situations. It's like cute.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I made friends with Jonathan. He's so funny. And da 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 da.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
Well,
like,
it's very performative, right? It's very showy. It's very like, look what I collected
look
today.
what
Like
I
you're a
got.
fucking
Right.
Pokemon. Like,
Yes.
yeah. You're like, gay men, gotta
Jonathan,
catch them all.
Jonathan. Right.
Yeah.
It is true, and it's like that. And I hadn't really thought about it until I had enough conversations with my Black former coworkers slash friends
Yeah.
talking about their experiences.
Yeah.
And it's just everywhere, and just the possibility of our next president being a Black woman. Those kind of the microaggressions
Yeah.
are just gonna be laid out there, and
It's
it's
gonna be
coming from all
macro.
angles.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It comes from all angles. I mean, I even hold on to misogynoir. Like, we can't all shake off everything. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like, there are things, there are certain jokes and things like that. I even made
Right.
a silk wrap joke earlier. I wouldn't have made that joke if it was Hillary Clinton, but
No,
because I'm
because
Black, you know what I mean?
culturally, and plus I get it.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
yeah, right.
But like, out of different mouths and in different tones and in different
Yeah.
contexts, that is a vestige of misogynoir. Because why am I talking
Mm-hmm.
about the next president and caring about her hair?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
These are all things, and it's interesting to see how this is bubbling to the surface. And we only have a couple of months, or do we even have a couple of months, really?
Yeah, like
but
a month and a half.
It's it'll be over, and that'll be nice. And
well, not until January again.
I don't know what's gonna happen.
Everything's counted and becomes official. So it's not quite over. Even the election might be over, but the process to admit the next president of the United States would not be over. It's not even going to be over after January. It's going to be, probably 4 years after that until after 2028's election. So,
God. Some snippets from the debate that you missed, just on the top of my head. Trump did reference, was asked about peaceful transfer of power in January 6th and his thoughts on how that all went down. Never answered a question, so don't worry. We never got answers for anything. But in his answer about that, he referred to it as J6. Like you're nicknaming it, right? On TV. Diverting from questions to go into rants about Haitian immigrants eating animal pets because immigrants are the problem. They have to get out of here. I mean, that is damn near a quote that he said in there. It's scary. Also, he was fact checked live, which is great. They need to do that for every debate. But so that with the live fact checking, he was corrected 33 plus times.
Wow.
She was corrected once.
Wow, 33 times. My goodness.
There's a lot of things that happened during that debate that, like you said, who is this for? Don't know. I don't know anyone who looks at these two candidates and says, well, I mean, like, where's the overlap?
Yeah.
I guess there is one overlap, the way they're treating different countries and our allies. But other than that, it was definitely bread and circus, and I don't know, I don't know what to expect from it, but it is just interesting that this is really the election that we have.
Yeah, it sounds like that's the last debate that there's going to be, saying that Trump is refusing a third debate against Harris. So
it won't be good.
We'll see.
I honestly, that was the night. That was the night for anyone who needed help figuring out who they might vote for. You just need one.
Yeah.
And we'll just see how this pans out. But yeah, I wish I had a clean way to wrap it up. But really, I'm just like in my head gesturing wildly, but I don't want to hit the microphone. So I'm leaving in my head. But it's wild that we're here.
It is wild that we're here, but with any luck or an effort and conscious actions, Harris won't be treated like Eartha Kitt was. Oh
my God.
In her time in the White House. And I think that that's going to be the true testament of what change has occurred in this country from what happens in November and how it's handled after that point. On that note, we'll see you all next month.
Wait. Okay, Donna. Well, until next time.
Hey, if you like what you hear, and let's be honest, we know you do, why don't you drop us a 5-star rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts? It'd really help us out. Thanks so much for listening.